risk taking and credit booms, which are happening globally. And subsequently, bursts are also happening. And a lot of methodologies have been developed to analyze these bursts or analyze these booms. And these have influenced our economies substantially. We find that the cost in terms of macroeconomic stability, lost jobs, deflationary concerns, they are differing across countries, and there is a flow of funds from one economy to another economy, one sector to another sector. And you will see, for example, in India, one sector sometimes become very important, and lot of money goes to that particular sector after 3 months, after one quarter, altogether shift is taking place. So in that way, the financial markets nationally, globally are becoming highly dynamic. And there are inflationary concerns as well as deflationary concerns. We have seen in US the inflation rates have gone up, to the extent of 9.5% or some percentage, and which has not happened in the last 40 years. So lot of funds now that being are transferred from the emerging economies to these developed economies, and lot of hedging is taking place. You take example of any asset, you take non-agriculture commodities, even in commodities, there are a lot of shifts which is happening. So we see that the financial markets are under extreme turbulence, confusion, and dilemma stage. And there are substantial outflows of capital from emerging economies. So in response to these developments, you will find that the government, central banks, and organizations, they are shifting to implement the policy measures on fiscal part and on monetary part. Another important thing which is well known in the context of management also, and I highlighted many times at various forums, the business models have become very dynamic, and so are the people. Okay. And the requirements of the capital, intellect capital, is altogether changing very fast and very difficult even for the HR managers to think about what is happening or what kind of manpower they require. Now, very interesting thing I would like to highlight is that the standards or benchmarks of returns, that this is a standard or this is a benchmark of returns, they are losing significance. You talk about 35% per annum return, you talk about 5% per annum return in different markets, different countries at different point of times. There are no standards now left, no benchmarks of returns which is left. Another important thing that you have seen, especially in the Russia and Ukraine crisis, payment systems are greatly influenced by technology and policy. And new payment systems are going to emerge. For this, the central banks have introduced very powerful monetary measures supporting the corporate financing and stabilizing the financial markets. Now, in brief, what it means to the researchers, I would like to highlight in bullet 2 or 3 points. The examination of volatility and turbulence of financial markets in a new form. This is one which is required. We need to explore the prediction models in a more sophisticated way using the latest technological inputs. And the conventional econometric techniques or conventional techniques which we use in finance are no longer relevant or they're losing significance. There is a macro micro relationship which is a new relationship which is emerging in every economy and globally, and that needs to be revisited in light of the national policy. Restructuring of business and institutions, their impact on economy and society to be examined in a different way. So these are some areas which I feel in context of finance and financial markets which are becoming very very important, and high possibility of exploring new things and publication of papers in these particular areas. So not taking much time, I hope that this conference would pave the way to discuss and deliberate on these aspects, and would be a great opportunity to learn and carry research endeavors. I would like to thank Professor Rk Singh Sahab, Professor Arvind Kumar Sahab, and my senior colleagues, Professor Furkan Sahab, Amir Sahab, and all the participants again. And I believe that this conference would be a great opportunity to learn. and look for with the discussions and deliberations which are taking place in the conference, there is a possibility of publications, good publications, and good research would come. Okay, with all these responses, thank you everybody, and I hope and pray God that conference would be a great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, I think Professor Rk Singh is having a meeting at 10:30. So can we invite him first?
Sure, sure, sir. Please,
So
please.
Mehak, please invite Professor Rk Singh.
Yes.
So before I invite Professor R.K. Singh, I would like to give a brief about Professor R.K. Singh. He's a professor and head Department of Commerce, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. He studied at University of Delhi itself and taught at Jamia Millia Islamia and University of Delhi. He has worked as a deputy dean, academic activities, and project of University of Delhi. He has attended and presented various research papers in national and international seminars and abroad. To his credit, there are a good number of research papers and articles in the journals of repute. He has got the best
I think there is some problem with your audio.
Am I audible? Life member of Association of Constitution and Parliamentary Affairs, All India Commerce Association, All India Library Association. And he has conducted training workshops for IFS officers at FRI Dehradun, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi, and Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal. Now I request Professor R.K. Singh to please share his thoughts.
रितेश जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Am I audible, sir?
Now you are. Yeah, it's a bit feeble, but now we can hear.
Fine now, sir? Yes, sir?
Not very clear. Could you pull your computer a bit closer to you, or maybe if you are connected with the. No.
Is it fine? No?
It's fine. It's a bit low, but it's fine. Okay.
Let me try one.
No, no. I think just try without mic lead. Just try.
क्या अब आवाज मेरी आ रही है सर?
बहुत अच्छी, बहुत अच्छी.
शुक्रिया. You have to bear with the technology and of course handicap on my part about the technology. Esteemed academic who are here with us on this electronic platform, Professor Furqan Kamar, Professor Ansari, Professor Gupta, Dr. Saf, other colleagues from the department, Professor Arvind Asta, who has joined us from the other part of the world, scholars. I'm happy to be here, and for that I'm thankful to organizers, Professor Pankaj Gupta roped me in. Academic organizations, they create avenues so that we find different perspectives about what is happening around, mull over the issues and try to find out some solutions. In favor of Department of Management, Jamia Millia Islamia deserves compliments that they are organizing this third international conference on this international finance issue. Professor Pankaj has given a very detailed account of what is happening across the globe about the macroeconomic issues, the international finance. Well, I think that how to look at this issue of international finance, the term without which none of the academic interactions are taken is complete, the technology that is making its daunting presence in every sphere, so the international finance. And it will not be exaggeration to say that today's life is possible without blood, without flesh, without marrow, without respiration, but is not possible without technology. Technology which is creating a new social relationship, entirely new way of looking at things. And as we are trained to see things from the known perspective, it is creating a lot of jolts because the known knowledge is not coming to our rescue to understand what is happening around. To name a few that what technology is making.
वीडियो नहीं आ रहा, म्यूट अनम्यूट तो ठीक हो गया.
This is creating a different kind of
मेरे उसमें स्क्रीन में आप लोग सब ठीक आ रहा है ना, लेकिन मेरे ही स्क्रीन में स्टार्ट वीडियो वाला एक ऑप्शन जो है वो रेड मार्क.
गुलाम साहब अगर म्यूट कर लें.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर, यजदानी साहब अपना माइक जब म्यूट कर लें जब आप बोल रहे हो तो, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आवाज सबके लिए आ रही है.
So, I was talking about the technology. Technology is creating a different kind of texture for our living. So, the process automation, the virtualization, 5G, Internet of Everything, robotics, 3D printings, all these are culminating into that in next 3-4 years, roughly 80 zettabyte data would be traveling every year. Hybrid computing, multi-cloud platforms, artificial intelligence, next generation computing, all these things are impacting all domains, so the domain of global finance. We're in domain of payments, we are talking about geotagging. We are talking about cryptographic protocols, where our focus is more on transfer of value and lesser on the storage value. For covering the rest, we are focusing on application of sensors, wearables, telematics, a smart Internet of everythings. And there I often quote the example that the wearables, the smart watches, the health devices, they are stealing our biological data to feed to insurance agencies to decide the premium. Chip fitted tires are giving data to insurance companies to decide that what would be the premium amount of our next car insurance. Banks which are emerging as platforms, leaving the traditional sources of capital raising, going for crowdsourcing, angel investing, in domain of investment management, robo advising, social trading, all these things are creating a different kind of threat for the technological texture. This, all these together, to me, are posing four challenges before global finance. One, that is achieving universal financial access. As a rhetoric, it is very good to achieve universal financial access for everyone. But when it comes to the brass tacks reality, then it is not getting converted into achievables. This is because the second challenge which the technology is posing, and must be addressed by the scholars working in this domain of international finance, that is rising income inequality. Every application of the technology is widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots, creating a different kind of anemic social order, a negative social and economic impact, where we find that excess of high quality financial services which are affordable, larger populace is devoid of that. The third challenge which is there before the international finance is the network which this technology is giving, where we say that network is net worth. This network, the network of the technology is creating its own political weapon that could be seen when we were pressurized to give to COVID-19 drugs to some countries, despite some reservations on our part. Withdrawal of Visa and MasterCard organizations during this Russia-Ukraine war, purchase of petroleum products during this war time. So are we heading towards a future where this network will come handy in the hands of few, and there will be possibility of the war being waged like this? The fourth challenge, which is buzzword and no academic discourse, irrespective of the discipline, that is sustainability. To my understanding, sustainability is that what we consume today and leave it for the future generations. I don't find myself much comfortable with this definition, which starts with the consumption. This consumption, when we look at Holocenic process, this consumption is more Anthropocenic, which is more human-centered. In all these developments, human is there in the center, and anything and everything is hovering around human and catering the needs of the human. All the developments and everything is taking place. So the technology, which is taken as a tailor-made science developed for catering the unfulfilled needs of the society. So with this anthropocentrism, to what extent the global financial experts, they would be able to address this issue of the sustainability, that needs to be deliberated upon. There is a counter perspective to this anthropocentrism is biocentrism, coming from the larger perspective of animism, where we see that all living beings, they should be kept as focus. Yes, of course, we are making some efforts in that, but the underlying thread, which goes for creating a connect and making us to take it by heart instead of only using as a rhetoric, that needs to be deliberated upon. And along with the sustainability, in the line of anthropocentrism, the third is the ecocentrism, what we call as ecosystem. That is also a buzzword, that there has to be ecosystem. In this ecosystem, we find that international finance has to go for creating the ecosystem which is more sustainable, catering the needs of all stakeholders. Sounds interesting, but other day I was reading a report which was saying that technologists, biologists, environmentalists, they are working in the domain of green engineering. Huge investment, so-called green investment, green finance, has been made in this domain of green engineering, where we are working to regulate sunlight, where we are working to have control over weather, where we are working to have control over the snowfall there on top hills. Or in other words, if you allow me, that where we are working to play God. So with the divine and godlike powers, the sustainability will always be a coffee room discussion, a coffee table concept. There is a need to see that in third millennia, even one quarter has not passed. And in less than a quarter, two catastrophic perils. We have seen one, the financial crisis, which impacted the larger part of the world, and other, this respiratory pathogenic pandemic. All the investments what we are making despite these two perils even today, the investments are investment in development. And development is Anthropocenic human centered. Can we look at, which some of the writers they are talking about, can we look at making investment in resilience? Nobel laureate and one of the great economists of present times, Stiglitz, in his book Creating Learning Society, says that economics was a discipline which was created to study the economic behavior of mankind. And in the process of using mathematics in economics, we forgot the human behavior and we are only relying on the mathematical models. So, mathematical model-based international finance, development-based, human-centered based international finance, I think there is a need to take a departure and talk about resiliency there in the investment so that we can bring more political commitment, so that we can bring more human resource utilization, so that we can go for creating more personal time. And while this creating resiliency there in the investment, scholars need to deliberate upon, and I'm sure that they will be doing today, that how to go for re-engineering the risk tools, the damage, the issues which the two catastrophes have given to us, how to go for creating a system which bounces back faster, how to go for creating a system where there will be better remediation of the losses, how to go for creating a system at the institutional level where we can think in terms of how to mitigate the risk. Because the way things are changing and the way our desire to have control over everything that is on rise, such catastrophes are not going to stop. So can we build a system, both using the structural and non-structural instruments, where investment would be made in institutional regulatory framework, where the investment would be made in the institution to understand that what would be the incentive for the change, and how we made accountable for what is happening around. Not only I'll be talking, not only I'll be deliberating, not only I'll be mulling over and then towards the end I'll say that now it will meet its own fate. How we can think in terms of bringing the knowledge management issue there in this domain of international finance. Currently, this international finance is focusing more on information management. How can we make a departure from this information management to the knowledge management so that our strategies could be more inclusive and not inclusive for the sake of saying, inclusive by design, where everything is embedded, It is not inclusion only in terms of the principles and policies, but all stakeholders in the real sense of the term, including their thinking, inclusion coming down to their thinking level. Whatever is the last man's desire to be called as a part of the larger financial ecosystem, that is taken into account. And if that is taken into account, what hue and cry is being created by this technology, that the gap between the have and have-nots is on rise because the median income is not increasing. Because we find that this technology, which is creating its own technological unemployment, how we can go for addressing it? We can go for creating holistic integrated system where big and small both will survive. Where fintech companies, those who have used to make investment, those who have good money to substitute labor for capital, because they understand that the technology is not adding any human factor productivity, it is adding to the capital factor productivity. So they are good at it. With the fintechs, how we can go for making microfinance institutions also to flourish? How we can make the micro lenders, the postal banking institutions also to get embedded in it and become the part of the mainstream. And how we can think in terms of building a system which is foolproof. The more and more technological use and more fintech rise, we find that demand for cybersecurity, demand for fraud prevention, demand for data protection, demand for privacy, that is on rise. And the larger issues still remain unaddressed in this domain of international finance. But as everything is getting codified, so the trust also getting codified. More use of technology, more making investments in finance using fintech, consumers' suspicion, doubts are also on rise. So how we can go for giving more consumer solace? How we can go for increasing more digital literacy? How we can think in terms of bridging the gap of that digital divide and the social divide? We can think in terms of making a system which is creating a symbiotic system where the technology and human both are surviving, and where not only the median income, I'm sorry, not only the income on rise, but the median income is also on rise. I think in a day-long seminar, you would be able to look at some of the issues, and you would be able to address the concern which in the global finance, the experts are talking about the Solo's paradox, that the productivity needs to be addressed in the domain of finance. How to address these issues so that we are able to create a social fabric where the technology, which is so to say that it is to cater the social needs, it is making us to survive, and it is not only making us to invest, it is making us to think that this investment is not only to get the money, but this investment is to make us to have a peaceful mind for this generation and the upcoming generation. That would be the real meaning ascribed to the term sustainability, which the financial experts and the people working in other domains they are talking about. With these unstructured ideas, I again am thankful to the organizers for giving this opportunity to share my vague ideas on this international finance. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Mehak.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mehak,
Yes, sir.
please invite Professor Arvind.
Sir. Now, I would like to give brief about Dr. Arvind Ashta. Is an alumnus of St. Stephen College, Delhi, IIM Calcutta, Law Center 2, Delhi, University of Paris 2, and University of Lille. He is a professor of finance of the Burgundy School of Business, France, and its member of its research center. He has taught microfinance as a visiting faculty in Brussels, Chicago, New Delhi, for Siam and Winterthur, and provided students seminar in Barcelona, Hertfordshire, Kathmandu, Mysore, and Nancy. He's a member of research associations like ISEE, RRI, and professional associations like European Microfinance Platform. He has over 60 publications in the international journals. He has edited Advanced Technologies for Microfinance, co-edited MIS Microfinance, and Slow Management, and authored Microfinance Battling a Wicked Problem. He is a member of Club of Micro Investors. He is on the editorial boards of Strategic Change, Cost Management, and FIIB Business Review. Now I request Dr. Arvind Asta to kindly share his words.
Thank you very much, Madam Manzoor. My thanks also to Dr. Tawfiki Siddiqui for inviting me, and all the distinguished panelists here. I've already heard Dr. Pankaj and Dr. Rk Singh. It's really been a pleasure to hear this on the importance of finance and on the importance of resolving social problems. May I share my screen?
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So can you see the screen? Hello. Hello.
Not yet. Not yet, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to talk about the importance of news in driving research. So if you look at this table of contents from this month's Journal of Economic Literature, I've written March 2020, but it's actually March 2022. I can make it 2022 just for clarity. It talks about epidemics, COVID, infectious disease, Black Death. Also talks about some of the issues like clean air, which Dr. Singh just took up.
Sir, your screen is not visible.
It's very blurred. My voice or my slides?
Sir,
Hello?
your voice is coming. Absolutely all right. But as far as the screen is concerned, perhaps it is not being shared. It's not
Screen is
visible.
not shared.
If you are presenting something on a screen.
I'm presenting. One second, let's go back to WebEx. Share. And I'll share only this screen then. Okay, share. Now?
Yes, absolutely right, sir.
Okay.
It's visible.
Okay. So what I was trying to say is that in the Journal of Economic Literature, which is one of the most recognized, highest classified journals in the world, a lot of titles now are dealing with COVID. Okay. And the point I want to make is that what is recently globally important news drives the interest of top journals. In this conference, the person I'm addressing to is a young researcher who's wanting to position himself into the first category, who wants to publish high, okay, and who wants to reduce his rejection rate. So for them, I would say that you need to position your paper and anchor it into recent news. And not just a recent news which says that somebody was kidnapped in some country, but something which is globally important which everybody is talking about and all editors are aware. If you're talking only about Indian issues, then you should aim only for an Indian journal, unless you can show that that issue is important worldwide. I'm not saying that this is a key to certain success. I'm just saying this is a key which may lead to slightly higher rate of success. Most of my papers are on the average, they're rejected 4 times before I get a yes. So we can say 4 to 7 rejects. And I've talked to the highest researchers in the world, and they also say 4 times is normal. The only difference between those very high researchers and me is that they only submit to category 1, A+ journals. I reduce the level of the journal after each rejection. So I finally get published in a maybe level 3 or level 4 journal, and they are getting published consistently in level 1 because they're persistent. They're persistent, they have time, and they take each critique very seriously and make sure that they're addressing all the concerns of all the reviewers. There's another recent article, this is last month, in the American Economic Journal, which says what kind of findings should be published. Should these be so basically they've used game theory, a lot of mathematics in the paper, and I don't understand mathematics, so I just look for introduction and conclusion and literature review if there's one. So basically what they're saying is, should a journal only publish extreme results, or should it publish results which are significant but not meaningful? So for example, supposing you find that there's no change in theory, okay, you've just confirmed previous theory. Should this be published or not? So there's a lot of debate going on saying yes, all statistically significant results should be published. Okay, and then there's another theory saying no, statistical significance is meaningless today because sample sizes are so large. Since sample sizes are so large, what is significant is there's no statistical significance. So if in a sample size of 1,000, you're finding the results are not significantly different, there's a problem, there's something wrong. So why is there no significance? So there are all kinds of theories going on. And here, what the people are saying is, if the journal objective is to influence policy, or social objective of the journal is learning, then they should publish extreme results. The reason is that extreme results shock you. And because they shock you, you change your beliefs. Okay, or they provide examples. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage is, if you consistently publish only extreme results, you don't know what is the real mean, what is the real average. So everybody's understanding of what is happening in the world gets distorted because they think the top journal is giving you the news, which is not true. They're just giving you some strange situations. Of course, if your social objective is accuracy, then you have to publish results with small errors, which means large sample sizes. So you could read the whole paper to understand exactly what editors are looking for. But the advantage of reading this paper is to understand that before you submit, you see what is the journal's strategy. Is it to influence policy or is it accuracy? What are your costs involved? Because if you're publishing small errors, you need very large samples, which has a huge cost. Okay, if your journal is addressing heterogeneous policymakers, again, it is going to want large results. Okay, so you have to see what is the policy before you submit. Otherwise, you should change your strategy and do the research after deciding which journal you want to publish in, which is recommended by many journals, that you're writing only for them. When I say recent news is important, recent news for me today would mean the Ukraine-Russia conflict. This war, and this is especially important for international finance, because this war has created sanctions. And the war and the sanctions together have created problems for states, as well as problems for organizations and wealthy individuals, and to some extent problems for many millions of poor people. We can say the refugee problem. And the problems for state means all the international financial issues that Dr. Pankaj Gupta mentioned, Dr. Pankaj, mentioned in the beginning are important. Public finance for Russia, public finance for the EU, all kind of things. How Americans are driving these sanctions and the impact on other countries. For organizations, the whole issue of supply chain and supply chain finance is affected. For wealthy individuals as well as organizations like Societe Generale, how to get rid of banks branches which are there, because if you want to divest of these, who will buy it, at what price, and how will you get that money from rubles to foreign exchange if you have frozen everybody's accounts? The Russian oligarchs would like to get out. Do they need to go to Dubai? Do they need to go to Cyprus? Where should they put their money in? All these are international financial issues which are coming up now. For poorer individuals, we come back to the problems which Dr. Singh has just raised. What are the services which we can give these refugees? How can we include them in the new social system to which they have migrated, to Poland and to many EU countries, Romania and so on? And what are the currency issues? Today that Ukrainian hryvnia is not worth very much. What do you do with it? So how do you deal with this kind of collapse of a currency which was not very much converted, and suddenly you come out of the country with this currency and it's not worth anything? Since people think it will collapse further, they don't even want to pay the current rates. So these kind of results are important. The point I'm making is extreme events such as these are likely to provide the extreme results which the journals want to publish. Therefore, policy of socially oriented journals would be interested that you make your research meaningful. So obviously, we all know that research takes 3 to 5 years to get published, which means you do your research 1 year, and then you're trying to publish it 2 years later. And then after 3 or 4 rejects, maybe 5 years have passed. The point I'm making is that your introduction needs to be rewritten and rewritten each time to anchor it in the present. So people don't care how old your data is. I have published certain papers after 10 or 12 rejects. That means after 8 years, okay? Because one journal took 2 years to say, I can't find a reviewer. I found one reviewer, but I can't find a second reviewer for your paper. It finally got published, but years passed by, and we have this this way of doing things where we can only submit to one journal at a time. So we can't take a shotgun approach and send the same paper to 40 journals and say whoever comes first, I'll take that. That doesn't happen. We have to follow the protocol. So this is the basic point I want to make. The effect of this war, particular war, okay, why not Syrian war? Why not the problems of Lebanon? What is so great about this war is it's affecting Europe and Russia, and which is the developed world. And many journals are interested in what is happening in the developed world. The aging world needs immigrants, okay? Aging world being Europe. But can we absorb these immigrants? These are public finance issues, geopolitical repercussions, MNCs, their corporate holdings, international finance, the whole globalization, localization debate. If you write on that now, this is the right time to write. But then you have to find the kind of journals which take essays. Is compounded by COVID. So again, financial economics and inflation and interest rates and central banking is coming in. And of course, again, both previous speakers have mentioned the impact on green energy use, which is green finance. So these are the important issues. Today, now in this conference, I looked at your catalog, and I find that this one researcher, this Chawla and Chawla, they've already talked about Russia and Ukraine war in the title. So it's not that what I'm saying is something new or something which has not been done. Some researchers are already into it. They know that they need to anchor it here. If you look at COVID, I found 11 papers using the word COVID in the title. So that's out of 200 papers, 11 is quite a lot. 9 papers use the word technology, digital, in the title, the word digital. So which is also very, very recent. Incidentally, I'm guest editing a special issue on digital transformation for strategic change. There's no call for papers. It's just my network. So if any of you want to send a paper to me, you could send it to Dr. Siddiqui, who has my email, or find my email and send it to me. Basically, it's on digital transformation. There are 3 papers in this on crypto or Bitcoins, 9 papers on green and sustainable issues, which remain very important. As you could see in the literature review on the Journal of Economic Literature, one of the papers was on green. And there are a few others. This makes about 40 papers which have used the title directly to say, okay, these are important issues. I want to also say a few words on the importance of conference. Because I think many researchers don't realize how important a conference is to the publication process. So first, for me, I've divided the different stages of conference. First, very often there's a deadline for abstracts, and this deadline gets me started. So I say, I would like to speak on this, and this is my research objective, this is how I will do it, this is what I expect to find. So that gets me started. Then if it is accepted, they give me a full paper deadline, which means between this and this, I've already started my research and I'm trying to make the first draft and get it out. If it is a good conference, if it is a high-level conference, and I'm talking about not very big conferences, I'm talking about small international workshops, then I'll get a feedback on my paper, which will help me improve it. Then I'll make PowerPoints. When I make PowerPoints, I visualize my paper. Okay, so this is a draft paper which I had sent, I got feedback, I improved it, but PowerPoints help me visualize it, especially if I make graphics. And then I can improve the paper at the same time because I'll find mistakes myself. When I make the presentation at the conference, I get ideas as I speak. So irrespective of what any feedback the conference gives me, I improve because when I speak, I get new ideas. If I'm lucky, there would be more than 3 or 4 people in the conference listening to me. Because the rule of conference is 200 papers, 200 researchers, everybody's gone to the panel where he's speaking, and they are the people who might react to you. So this feedback may come. It gives me clarity, or at least if the feedback doesn't seem right to me, at least I should say that maybe I need to give more clarity because that person did not understand. So that helps me improve things. So it doesn't matter what the feedback is, I use it. The conference also gives you an opportunity to provide feedback to others and to be recognized as an expert. Now, I've noticed that in most of the conferences I go to India, this is the weak point. This is the weak point of the conferences. Young researchers are hesitant to open their mouths in front of senior faculty. This problem does not exist in Europe. It does not exist in the USA. Once you're in a conference, you're all equal. Anything which you want to say, you must say it. You may say, okay, I know nothing about this. You can precede your remark with that, saying, I am not an expert in this area, but I have a feeling that you have not taken this into account. And you let the other person answer if he wants to answer. Normally, I do not answer my feedback. I just note it all down. Because if I take the time to answer, the time is running out. So I've come to the conference to get feedback, but I may not get it. Finally, networking. This networking does not happen very well in distance conferences, but it helps a lot. It happens a lot in physical conferences where you see each other, you have some automatic, signals coming in and saying that this person would like to meet you, this person wouldn't like to meet you. And this networking is important for starting new papers. Maybe what you're saying appeals to somebody and he says, this guy is good at speaking. While I am not a good communicator, I'm good at stats. Maybe I can get in touch with him and he can present it at a famous conference because he can sell better than me. So simple. You add a co-author because he can sell your ideas better than you can. Or somebody else who's written a good paper and he writes very well. So whatever it is, what you're looking for at a networking conference is complementarities and not people who are saying the same thing as you. Because those people are not going to add anything to you. The maximum number of papers which I have written are with somebody whose views are totally at odds with mine. Because we both debate something, we fight over every sentence, but we finally get it out. Okay, so the idea is not to run away from each other. The idea is to stay together. So this is what I wanted to say. So I hope you have a great conference and that you all, at the end of the conference, have found one person with whom you want to start another paper. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, Mac,
Yes, sir.
Mac, just a moment, no?
Yes.
So it's a great learning, sir, Professor Arvind sir, from you.
Yeah,
I would like to know your experiences on publication via open access. No? What is your experience and feeling about open access?
So, okay, I was struggling to stop the screen sharing, but I'm not able to do this. Okay, on open access is something which is happening, right? It's something which is happening now. Hello, can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, Professor Arvind, we can hear you, but this power presentation is still on the screen.
Yeah, but I can't, I'm not able to go to that place. I'm not able to make this big. This expand panel to show video. I don't know. Show speaker active video, this one or this one?
If you
Let's try this one.
Go.
Yeah, so, and this one gives me this, but it doesn't become big. How do I make it big?
On the uppermost side, there would be a hidden panel, sir. When we put our arrow there, so it will come out.
This one, show grid view?
Not exactly, sir.
I have these. This is what I have.
So if you
Can the host, can somebody just take it off?
Professor Ashta, if you could just close your presentation.
If I close my presentation?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Professor Kamar. I think technology remains elusive. And there's great inequality created by technology. So on open science, so now this is the topic of today, right? Everything is going to be on open science. The best person on open science to talk would have been my wife, because she's a librarian, and she is invited now everywhere to speak about open science. As you know, the publication process creates inequalities. The top journals have cliques, you can say, of people and their students students who get published in the same journals. For somebody who's not belonging to that clique and who does not have the network, it is difficult to get published. I'm saying difficult, I'm not saying impossible, because I have managed to get published in the top journals. I got published in Ecological and Economics twice. And I don't know why they accepted some of my papers and why they don't accept other papers. But all I know is that if you keep on trying, by the law of large numbers, something will get in. But there are a lot of people who feel that the system is unequal, and open science is the only route to give equality of opportunity to everybody. Now, I'm in a business school, which is a private institution, and we are competing to get published because those publications will drive our ranking, and the ranking will allow us to get students. So we are slower to react than the universities, because the universities don't care. They're so large. They are going to get students anyway. So the universities have actually taken the initiative, especially in France, the French universities, because they are universal access. They want to include everybody. So they are taking more of an initiative in this open access publication than people from private schools, business schools like mine. I've already published in some open access journals on one condition, that they give me 100% discount, because my school is not going to pay for it. Okay, and if my school is not going to pay for it, I'm not interested in paying for it, because this is my profession, this is my work. I would like to be paid for my writing, and not that I should pay for writing. Before my school went in for research, I used to put my publications on SSRN, Social Science Research Network, free of cost. And every time somebody clicked on my paper, I would get a cheap thrill. You know, we call them CTs in IIM Calcutta, cheap thrills. That somebody clicked on it, somebody opened it, somebody may have read it. And that was good enough for me. So sharing my work is not a problem. But paying for sharing is a problem. So if you can find open access journals which are free, that's good enough, I think, for me. Yeah? The problem is, if the journal is free, who is going to ensure quality control? So if you create an open access journal and you don't have quality control, people may not want to come back if they read a poor paper on your website. Okay, so if you want to survive, you have to make sure you are surrounded by reviewers who will be rapid. If you look at these two publishing houses, Frontiers, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Frontiers. The Frontiers has overtaken most of the great publishing houses. The second one is MDPI. MDPI is also in the process of taking over in most business areas. So these two will become, you can say, they're disruptors in the publication process. They get the journal out, they don't accept anything, they make sure you improve sufficiently to get published, and they don't waste your time with stupid recommendations which make no sense, saying you are not abstract enough or something like that. You know, very often with top journals, they will make you a kind of a statement which they probably make to everybody, and you can't make out what was wrong with your paper. So those kind of things don't happen with people who say, our objective is to publish you, and we're giving you this kind of support. The journal which I publish in the most, Strategic Change, that suits me because the editor's style of what he wants, which is basically academicians speaking to practitioners, fits with me. It happens to fit with me because I worked in industry for 17 years before becoming professor. So you have to see where you fit in, and you try to develop that journal, which means you have to review for that journal extensively. You have to make special editions for that journal, because those are the people who are accepting you. So if you can make that journal great, it's like publishing in a great journal. Of course, the work effort required is huge, but if you're not giving back, people get tired of you. You have to find a way to give back continuously. In any case, if you have any more specific question on open science, please do let me know.
Thanks, Professor Saab. Thank you.
Okay. May I please invite Professor Furqan, sir?
Yes, sir. I will take this privilege to give a brief about Dr. Furqan Qamar. He is presently Professor of Management at Center for Management Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia. He has served as the Secretary General of the Association of Indian Universities, which is one of the largest and the oldest network of universities in the whole world. In his illustrious has held the position of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Rajasthan and the Central University of Himachal Pradesh. He has also served as advisory in the Planning Commission of India.
Heck, I think there's some connectivity issue at your end, or maybe.
I think there is an issue.
I think so.
Uh,
So I
may I please, Mahek, are you getting this audio? You are getting the audio or not?
Sir, am I audible now?
You are audible if your network is, I think it's not working properly. You may start if it's working, then you can start.
Yes, I'll start again. Essentially, as a professor of management, he has keen research interest in public policy, planning, administration, and financing of higher education, and has numerous publications in journals of repute to his credit. Professor Qamar has chaired and been members of a large number of committees, working groups at national and international level. Dr. Qamar thus brings with his academic eminence leadership qualities and exposure to best global practices. Now I request Dr. Furqan Qamar to please deliver an inaugural address.
thank you very much, Mehak.
Welcome, sir.
I think I'm essentially a faculty in the Center for Management Studies, which is presently organizing this international conference. I think because of one guest of honor who had some other commitments, so we had to change the order. And I hope that Professor Arvind Ashta did not mind being asked to speak before we, the internals, could speak. So I welcome, or I join Dr. P.K. Gupta in welcoming all the guests of honors. Professor Rafiq Bhuyan of Alabama A&M University, who could not join in person because of the time and distance and time difference. But I think he has sent a recorded message which will be played to the participants. Professor Arvind Ashta, you spoke very well, and I think these are the things which the younger faculty members and research scholars need the most, because all the time these days people are more worried about how to publish quickly. So I think you have given a mantra to them that, okay, be contemporary, think of global perspective, but at the same time, be focused and be creative and be persistent. So I think the 7 rejections before a paper is accepted, I think that is the mantra, so they should not give it up. I personally stood to benefit a great deal by your presentation that you made. Thank you very much for joining so early in the France Ritesh, who had to go somewhere. Ritesh has been a good friend, so he joined, and I think he connected the finance with the technology and with the kind of development that are taking place in the areas of science and technology. Professor P.K. Gupta Sahab, Professor Ansari, thank you for joining here in welcoming and in the inaugural session. All the distinguished session chairs, participants of the conference, who are connected from many different parts of India and also from elsewhere. This title of International Finance Conference could be interpreted in two different ways. One is that it could be, or it is an international conference on finance, or the other thing could be that it is an international finance conference, or it is a conference on international finance. But I think the way the titles, etc., are organized, it is an international conference on finance. And I think both Dr. P. I think all the three, Professor P.K. Gupta, Professor Arvind, and Professor Ritesh, I think they took the topic in a way that made it relevant, whichever way you want to interpret the title. And I was highly impressed by the analysis of some of the sessions and some of the papers that has been received in the center. This is an initiative that has essentially been taken by the finance group in the Center for Management Studies. It's not a very large group, it's a small group. And particularly, this has been the initiative taken by Dr. Saif Siddiqui and Dr. Tawfiq Siddiqui. Of course, they have been guided in their efforts by an advisory team, by the director of the Center for Management Studies, Professor P.K. Gupta. And I think when they had started thinking about it and when they had organized the first conference, at that time, Professor A.H. Ansari was the director. So I think the credit goes to these people. And of course, the university administration, vice chancellors, they have all been patron of this conference. So their contributions are also important and critical. This time, the conference is being held digitally, virtually, online platforms. So I think this network opportunity is not as high as you were highlighting. But I'm sure that this kind of platform does provide ample opportunity for providing feedback and to engage in meaningful discussions. So I'm sure that the participants would not only want to say what they want to say, but they would also want to listen what others have to say. Because whatever we write, whatever we publish with a purpose. And the purpose, I mean, at a very mundane level, it could be that we need to accumulate a number of papers for our promotion, etc., to meeting certain requirements. But I think the essential purpose of writing is to influence people by your thought, by your research, and you add a new dimension. And that is where the diagram which Professor Arvind Ashta presented, the chart that what are the steps involved and why are the conferences important. So they are just not a get together, but essentially about listening, about getting the feedbacks from others. This time, Dr. Saif Siddiqui and Professor Tawfiq Siddiqui, by the way, they are not related to each other. They do have a common surname, joint surname, but they are not that way related either by blood or by any other way. So they are colleagues. They are experimenting with the two things, that they are using multiple technology platforms to make this conference possible. So for smaller technical sessions, they are using Google Meet. For a larger inaugurals or plenary, they are using WebEx. Maybe some would be taken on Zoom platform. And therefore, organizing things at multiple platforms had its own challenge, but they have done it very, very well. I think Professor Ashtha has already spoken about the kind of publication, but just for the sake of participation, there are almost 500 people who have contributed their papers, either as a single author or as a joint authors. And the organizers have selected from amongst a few hundred papers, about 183 papers. And these papers would be presented in these two-day conference. And it has already been decided that if 2 day becomes insufficient for a detailed deliberation, perhaps a third day could also be spared in consultation with the participants of the conference. Of course, our interpretation of this conference was that it is an international conference on finance, and therefore the various tracks that they have, and I think that has already been circulated to participants, they include banking and finance, behavioral finance, financial inclusions, economic growth and digital inclusions, capital markets, mergers and acquisitions, corporate social responsibility, corporate finance and digital currency, financial planning, fintech or technology in the financial sector, investments, Islamic finance, or interest-free banking and interest-free finance, or the alternative way of doing financial transactions, and legal aspects and taxation, and financial services. So many tracks, and many of those tracks would be happening simultaneously. And I think the participants know that which track they are presenting, and the session chairs have been identified, but the rest of the people would be choosing the sessions of their liking. We are very happy and delighted and congratulate the organizers that this conference has attracted papers from almost all universities in Delhi. So big universities like Delhi University or JNU or Indraprastha University, Ambedkar University, Indira Gandhi National University. And Delhi has many B schools, and many of those B schools, faculty members and researchers have contributed papers. So this is success. There are contributions received from as many as 20 states of the country. And these have been received from central universities, state universities, private universities. Also, opportunities have been given, and they have taken this opportunity, the colleges located in different parts of the country. Involvement of colleges are important because 78% of higher education in India are provided by colleges. And almost an equal proportion of the faculty members are in colleges. And therefore, their participation, their involvement in research are very critical, and they are looking for opportunity. So I feel particularly, I could not find the gender distribution, but I have a feeling by going through the name that there is a good number of participation from women faculty members and women researchers as well. Some of the premier institutions like IITs and IIMs and NITs, the faculty members and researchers from there as well have participated. Being an international conference, we had expected participation from a number of countries. And we have papers from US, UK, Germany, Mexico, Iran, Bangladesh, Nepal, just to mention a few. These are from where many papers have been received, but there are a few other countries from where we have one or two publications or received for this conference. So I'm sure that the participant would want to make best use of the time an opportunity that the organizers, particularly Dr. Saif Siddiqui and Dr. Tawfiq, has provided. Their perseverance is also very apparent because this is the third conference that they are organizing in a row. They do it once in every 2 years. I don't know whether I could call biennial. No, biennial is perhaps twice in 1 year. I think there's some confusion. So once in 2 year kind of a conference. So they are dedicated, they are committed. They have already tied up with some publishers of repute. And out of 183 papers that would be presented, I think based on the juries and the feedbacks, they would identify a select number of papers which may be published in some of the journals, which have agreed to bring out a special volume dedicated to some of the themes, and also some of the publishers which may bring out a volume, maybe comprising of about 20 research papers at the most. So the search is for the best. Since a large number of people are the young research scholars and young faculty members, though it is a blend of both seniors as well as the juniors, I think we all would learn a great deal from the senior, and the seniors would encourage these youngsters in appreciating the idea and their work, and may at the same time, in order to be candid and honest, they would also be pointing out the deficiencies in the conceptualization, in the model that you are contemplating, in the methodology that you are using, or the analysis and the interpretation that you are using. And you all know that the same data could be interpreted in many different ways. So plausible interpretation is what we are looking for. So say, for example, if somebody could do a study of the road accident and reach a conclusion that those who walk in the middle of the road do not die or do not meet accident, this could be one interpretation. But finally, you will find that there are very few people who dare to walk in the middle of the road. So it's the people who walk on the sides of the road, so they meet more accidents. So looking for the plausibility of the interpretation, I think this is very, very important and critical. And I think one point that need to be emphasized again and again, that working in a team, discussion with your peer is critical. And particularly the peer who are from the diverse background and who have the diversity. Personally, I have also benefited a great deal by engaging with people or by being part of the people who are not from the area in which I am researching, but who are from other areas. But they bring in a kind of new perspective and they pose a kind of question which make me think. And they also provide a kind of feedback that, okay, when we discuss in a cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary groups, everybody is trying to benefit. So the lessons would be many, but I think you have full 2 days to deliberate and discuss various themes of your choice. One point that was mentioned, that if your topics are contemporary, which is affecting the global need, but sometimes we also tend to overdo it. So say, for example, on COVID itself, we have published close to 1 million papers globally. And that included the medical scientists, the doctors, biologists, bioinformation technologists, also data scientists, management professionals, economists, using various kinds of model, using simple statistics to going to many other models. I think in that process, it is the creativity of the researcher which becomes critical and which becomes very important. Because research could be a very mechanical process and the research could also be a very creative process. I think these days globally we are finding a trend that most people are falling prey to this mechanical process of research. And this is not something new. This has been very old. I know a university where in the School of Business, long time ago. They wanted to study and somebody works problem and prospects of a particular industry in the country. And then everybody copied that problem and prospects idea to a different industry. So when all the industries are exhausted, then you came down to a regional grouping, that problems and prospects of that particular industry in a particular region. And so you, in this process, the creativity of the research, which fascinates you the most, which attracts the publishers and the readers to your contribution the most, is killed. So, I mean, the methods are important, the techniques are important, the analysis are important, but the real creative idea is very, very important. So from that point of view, I think the very first slide which Professor Ashta presented was very critical, and therefore you need to choose your journals very, very well. Although one advice, being at the close or at the fag end of my active academic teaching life, I can give you is that yes, it is important for you to publish and accumulate papers to get entry into academics, to get promotions in your career. Do that, there is no harm in this, but remain focused on quality. Remember, long time ago, there used to be a saying that publish or perish, and then the saying soon changed to publish and perish. So publication would soon lose its fascinations, like the rankings have already lost fascinations in many countries of the world. They don't give a damn to ranking because this distracts people, academicians, administrators from the core activities for which the institutions are established. So with these few words, all the best for the next 2 days or maybe a third day. And thank you very much for all the guest of honors who joined in person, like in person means virtually in person. So like Professor Arvind Ashta and Professor Rafiqul, who could not join but had sent the message to the organizers and to everybody else. All the best, and thank you very much for involving me in this inaugural session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to give brief about Rafiqul Bian. His interest areas are asset management, financial product innovation, project management, budget analysis, and economic policy analysis. He is PhD economics from Concordia University, Montreal, Canada, and MSc Finance from the University of Illinois. He is currently an associate professor and area coordinator at Alabama A&M University, USA. He taught at Lee Moy College, American University of Kuwait, California State University, Midwestern State University, and University of Dhaka, and others. His publications include International Review of Economics and Finance 2016, Finance Research Letters 2019 and 2020, Applied Financial Economics 2006, Managerial Finance 2020, Review of Economic Analysis 2017, Journal of Risk and Financial Management 2020, International Journal of Accounting and Information Management 2020, and his professional affiliations are with American Finance Association, Financial Management Association, and Southwestern Finance Association. Due to the time difference in the different time zones, he was not able to. He has actually recorded a pre-recorded session, so I request if we could just play that video.
So I'm playing it, just will take 10-20 seconds to.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Mehak,
My name is
Yes, sir.
Rafiqul
getting
Bhuyan.
the audio also?
I am a professor at Alabama A&M University in the Department of.
Are you getting the audio also?
Yes, sir.
Audio is fine. Should I increase?
Yes, sir. Audio is fine. Perfect.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Accounting and Finance. And I am very much thankful to Dr. Tawfiq Ahmed Siddiqui and his program committee members to invite me in this a very important and thought-provoking conference. It's an honor and privilege to be able to participate online in a recorded version. And my sincere apology that I'm not able to participate live due to the time differences. It will be midnight in my time at the time of the scheduled presentations. So my presentations is therefore recorded. And thanks to Dr. Siddiqui, he is making this presentation available to all conference attendees. I'd like to make a couple of comments related to research, conference, and its importance. Research is the vital element of the growth and development of any field of study. It brings the currency in the field of teaching. It also helps improve curriculum, program structure, course design, course contents. It connects the scholars of similar mind together from all over the world, and it sharpens the mind of every scholar. Conference is a medium of presenting the thoughts of anyone's research. So it brings the scholars from around the world together. Everyone shares their ideas, presents to receive feedback from the audience and similar-minded scholars. That helps sharpen their thoughts through constructive criticism from others. It creates also an opportunity for collaborations among researchers. It creates an environment for access resources through joint research opportunities. So this conference, especially that one is designed by Dr. Siddiqui and his members, is a great initiative that having the scholars from all over the world can come together in India, virtually as well as live, to come together, meet others, greet with others, and then give feedbacks to others, receive feedbacks and comments from others. And therefore, it is a very important element of research ideas. Why do we do research? The fundamental questions, if we ask ourselves, it is to innovate originality of certain things. Imagine Black-Scholes model in finance, okay? Option pricing model never existed before, but few of the brilliant mind in finance and economics came up with their thoughts and developed an original theoretical model. Discovery is another main component of research. We discover through investigative processes, through different kind of investigative contents, and we generate what in reality certain things evolve in a certain way through our theoretical framework or our different forms of empirical findings. So as a result, it is also something that help us relate the practice with the theory. How we do our research? We identify a research question, and then we establish why it is important. Has somebody done this before? If not, then why is it so important? How is it going to contribute to the literature or in the field of studies. So a researcher or a scholar using his brilliant mind or her brilliant mind will identify a question, a problem that needs a solution, that needs to be investigated. Okay? And it could be a theoretical research or it could be an empirical research. And through these research processes, a researcher will either innovate, discover, or relate the reality with the theory. I am also a seasoned scholar. I have been in the academics since 1987, and I have been doing research in different areas of financial economics, accounting, finance, and peer economics. Different special areas of each of those subjects have been focus of my research in the past. But within finance, my focuses are mainly on asset valuation, derivatives and risk management, market efficiency, portfolio analysis, and corporate governance. So one of the most important reasons why I accepted the invitation from Dr. Siddiqui is to offer my expertise, especially to the young scholars. I know there will be a lot of graduate students, PhD students, as well as young, fresh lecturers coming out of the universities doing engaged in academia. I invite all of you to join with me. If your research focuses are any of those three fields, finance, economics, and accounting, I'm open to any of those research ideas to engage and develop those research proposals with you. I can help you in accessing different kind of expensive database. As you know, data is very important component of our research element. Without credible and authentic data, high quality journal outlet do not want to publish, even though it's a brilliant idea. So having access to international database is a very important privilege. So I have the expertise in connecting with scholars as well as getting access to this database and help you publish your paper in high quality journals. I'm also available to those scholars in developing their research proposal, their research ideas, okay? From conducting the literature review all the way to identify the research question and then pinpoint, how this research can contribute to the field of studies. If there are graduate students or doctoral students who are writing their thesis, I can also be of your help in developing your thesis ideas and then composing your thesis, completing your thesis successfully. Remember, collaboration is a win-win strategy for all. Okay, it helps increase the probability of success of your publications to a high-quality journal, and at the same time, it improves your research paper. Whatever you could have done and what you couldn't have done, that couldn't have done component can be resolved through a collaboration, either with me or with someone else that you are familiar with, and joining that person or group of individuals is a great way of resolving your personal challenges and making your thesis or your research or your intellectual contribution to a higher level. So please share your thoughts with me if you'd like to collaborate on any research in the field of accounting, economics, and finance. My contact information are as follows. Okay. I prefer that you communicate with me by email. I'm very much up to date, and within 24 hours, anyone will receive an email response from me. And I'm very good at communicating through email as well. And because we are living in different parts of the world, probably that's the best way of doing the communications. So again, I wanted to uh, express my gratitude to Dr. Siddiqui and his committee that what you are doing is a great initiative. This conference will help many emerging scholars to come up with their ideas much more refined, and it will help them develop their thought process, and finally they will be able to produce a successfully completed manuscript, and will be able to hopefully publish in one of your journal outlets or any other journal outlets around the world. My research focuses are, even though purely in options and asset pricing and market efficiencies, but I will be open to receive any kind of email request from any of your audiences if they need a one-on-one suggestions, feedback, or comments on any of the research outlet or research papers, and in any way I can be of their service to your conference attendees. Thank you all, and I look forward to meeting with you through email in the futures. Again, may Allah or Ishar or God, whoever your spirit is, help brighten your curious mind from this conference, and may the conference be a success for every one of you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now I request Dr. Tawfiq Ahmed Siddiqui to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mehak.
Welcome, sir.
COVID has brought several everlasting changes. The way we visualize the world. So we could imagine that the conferences on large scale can be organized like this using online platform, where academicians have gathered not only from different parts of India, but also from different continents like North America, Europe, to share and discuss their thoughts. On behalf of Third International Finance Conference, I am thankful to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Najma Akhtar Sahiba, for providing this opportunity. We are witness of the best rank of Jamia ever in the history under her able leadership. We are also thankful to Registrar Professor Nazim Al Jafri Sahab for his timely approvals and administrative support wherever it was needed. I would like to thank our director, Professor P.K. Gupta, who has been always supporting and helping, particularly in these academic endeavors. He is always very resourceful. His leadership style is constantly result-oriented. We are enormously thankful to Professor Furqan Kamar Sahab. He is our mentor, he is our guide. We are really blessed to have a person of his stature. As Sir has already told in detail about the participants, the contribution that we have received from different part of country as well as from different countries of the world. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank Professor Amirul Hasan Ansari Sahab also for his presence. We are blessed with his presence here. His approach has been always positive. Thank you, sir. Professor Rk Singh, in spite of his busy schedule, he accepted our request and blessed us with his presence. Sir rightly said regarding the use of technology in finance and how the technology can play a role to bridge gap between have and have-nots. He has also talked about his view on sustainability. As sir said, that focus should be on saving, not on consumption. Sir has also talked about green finance, behavioral finance. So this is beauty of interdisciplinary research because his area is HR. So if you listen to someone who is from other area, so it is always we get new insights. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We disturbed Professor Arvind Ashta during early morning time as sir is in France. As sir talked about art of publication, which is particularly useful for the young researchers. As sir has talked about, on an average, his paper is rejected 4 times. So this indicates that publication is work of patience. There is no shortcut. His view was really interesting about the level of significance. He has truly presented thought-provoking and highly pertinent issues. We got a lot of ideas for publication from his address. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. One more thing, as sir said that he has published his paper in open access journal, but the discount was 100%. It was really interesting. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We are also thankful to Professor Rafiqul Bhumian, as he could not attend this conference in person because of 10-hour time difference. His views are, in fact, incredibly vital, as he rightly talked about importance of collaboration, and as he said, collaboration is win-win situation, and offered his expertise to the young researchers with true academic spirit. Thank you, sir. We also extend our thankfulness to the team of experts who agreed to chair various tracks of the conference. We are also thankful to faculty members of Center for Management Studies, session coordinators, basically they are our research scholars for their support. Finally, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Saif Siddiqui Sahab, coordinator of this conference. Actually, this conference was his idea. Later on, I joined his team. In spite of his busy schedule and various other commitments, he did this work. During last several days, he has been working tirelessly to make this conference a successful event. I hope next 2 days would be exceedingly fruitful. There would be a lot of debate, discussion, and positive criticism. Once again, I say thanks to all the contributors, and I welcome you all again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
So, Meg, I think you can close the program now.
Yes, sir.
So, maybe thank you very much for the whole session, everyone. So, any comment from anyone from the participants or Gupta sir would like to close the session?
Sure. And it was a nice session, nicely organized, and a lot of learnings for me also on various aspects, including publication, what is happening in finance industry. And over and above that, talking to Professor Arvind Sahab is here, and Professor Rk Singh Sahab. It was a nice experience. Okay, so we can close the this particular session, and we'll I hope we'll enjoy the session, the respective sessions, no, with what the researchers say, no, what the scholars say in different aspects, no, and especially I would be interested in knowing about the volatility in financial markets, no, that particular session. Okay, so thank you everybody. Okay.
Thank you. So we are having conferences without lunch and dinner, so we are missing it.
So
So next time maybe we have a physical conference with all the delicacies of India and Delhi or Jamia. So certainly we'll invite all of you for the conference, and maybe in the night time we have culture programs. So maybe just wish for the good, and next time we'll be able to meet in person. Thank you very much.
I think, Saif, you should ensure that next time, 2 years hence, when you organize this conference, let's hope that there will be no corona and there will be no travel ban. So
So
please
no
ensure
fourth or fifth
those who
wave.
are online, they do participate in the next conference. And thank you very much, Professor Arvind. I think very valuable contribution and waking you up so early in the morning. So look forward to meeting you again sometime when you happen to be in Delhi or pass by Delhi. So see you. So do we log out now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed listening to all of you. Jamia has a special place in my heart. I've come there, visited, and tasted your excellent cooking of your bawarchi. It was a really splendid experience.
What was that?
Yes, sir.
I think we log out.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So we are finishing the session.
Sir, actually, there was a program on microfinance. There, Arvind sir has come as a resource person in Jamia.
Thank you, sir. We are closing the recording and the. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.